Hi folks, Bird Dog John here to help you upgrade your A200 to the Gen 2 software. This includes features like Color Matrix and Cam Control 3.0 control. So the first thing you want to do is go to the website, obviously, and download the brand new firmware that says Gen 2. But you also have to be sure that your camera is capable of upgrading to Gen 2. So the first thing you need to look at is on the actual camera chassis itself, there's a serial number that should show you exactly what the number is. So there's the first set of numbers, and then the second set of numbers starts with either BO, Bravo Oscar, or CO, Charlie Oscar. So if your camera says Charlie Oscar, and the majority of them will, you are able to do this upgrade today, right now. If it says Bravo Oscar, you need to reach out to us here at help@bird-dog.tv, and we'll coordinate something with you to get that camera up to date. So first thing you need to do is check out the serial number on the chassis of the camera and make sure that you're eligible for update. Do not do this update on a Bravo Oscar camera, as it will result in bricking the camera, and there's not much we can do after you do that. So all right, that's the first thing we want to do. The second thing we want to do is download the software and power on the camera. So if you have a Charlie Oscar camera, we're going to go over to the actual firmware page, so bird-dog.tv, and then it's /features/firmware-updates, okay? And we're going to jump over there. I'll show you the desktop. It's a pretty straightforward setup. And in the meantime, I'm going to power on my A200. Now, the A200 does a little dance, spins around, and gets started up. If you're doing this on a desk, you need to definitely mount it so that the camera is free to spin around in circles, so that when it actually boots up, it's the window wiper and everything kind of misses the desk. So you can see here my camera is powering up. I've got an actual Boland injector that I'm using, and then the camera itself, which is being powered. That Boland injector is 97 watts, which is the only injector that we use right now to power the unit. You can also, though, use DC power, or if you have adequate power out of a switch for PoE Max, that's also an opportunity. So, all right, the next thing we want to do then is I'm just going to go over to the website. Let me show you that real quick. Go into the website, and I'm going to go to the A200 Gen 2 3414 LTS firmware. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to download here. It's going to take 10 seconds to do. Okay, so next we want to get into the camera, and so here's the studio that I'm using, but we're going to go over to this camera, which is the A200, and let's just wait for that to load up, okay? And we're looking at the proxy stream. That's why it looks like that. And I'm going to click on this little gearbox because I don't know what IP address has been assigned to it. So I'm going to click on the gearbox. It's going to take me over to the web UI, all right? So now we're going to put in our password, and we're going to go over to System. And here it says System Update, and we're going to choose the file that we just downloaded. So here we're going to extract this one. Yes, that's fine. And then close. Okay, so now the file is in here. And we're going to do the firmware step first, okay? So we're going to click on the firmware, and we're going to say, go ahead. And it's going to take us to the little Linux screen that we're used to seeing. And it's going to do its little setup. So let me jump back here. So we got to wait. We got to be patient. It will detect the hardware, that the A200 hardware, and then begin to install the 3414 update. It will take a little while because it is a brand new firmware, but once it gives you the congratulations screen, then you can begin to refresh the web UI, and it'll take you back there. So now it says, congratulations, your firmware is now updated and your device is rebooting. After the reboot, you can simply refresh this browser and log back in. Now, the camera doesn't actually spin around, so it's actually rebooting just the NDI chip. So we're going to click on the desktop button here on the dashboard, or you can erase this portion, and the IP address is 1.180. That's what mine got assigned to. So we're going to just go ahead and hit refresh. And when the NDI chip reloads, it'll reload the web UI. So here it is. Now we're going to load up the actual Bird Dog website. Okay, and we're going to verify Gen 2 3414 LTS is correct. And then under System, we're going to go to MICU Update. Okay, we're going to say Choose File. And we're going to go back to this and now do step 1 and say hd20.bin. Open this folder and now hit update. We're going to wait this one out. Let it do its thing. Might just need to time lapse this for fun, but yeah, let this update go on. Leave it on this screen. Don't touch it. Let it do the update, and then we're going to go back, and just to be safe, we're going to reapply the firmware once again from step 2 onto this camera, and then that should be a fresh install. The MICU, the baseboard has been updated, and also then the firmware. So this is all real time. 80% already done. It's not a huge write, but thankfully we can do this all on the web UI with the A200 with the most recent update. So 90%, 100%, and wait for it to say that it's finished. Complete. System rebooting. So give it a few minutes to actually reboot. The baseboard's going to reboot, which means that the NDI chip will boot after that. And that shouldn't take too terribly long, but it is going to require more waiting. Thankfully, that's the majority of what this update is just waiting around for it to reboot. So that's all right. I'm going to hit just refresh on this. I don't need to save my password. And wait for that camera to come back. Okay, there it is. NDI chip is back up. So we're going to put in our super secret password and let that come up. All right, and now 3414. Now, look, this next part is optional, but you might as well just reapply this firmware that has been in here before. So LTS 3414, hit update again, and let it just do a fresh install of that firmware now that the MICU is done. This firmware enabled the MCU board to be updated over the web UI, which is something we're trying to do for most of our cameras. But now that that's the actual baseboard has been updated, now we want to make sure that the firmware gets put on step 2, as is the normal for all bird dog cameras. This time, it shouldn't take quite as long because this is already the version that's on here. So congratulations, your firmware is updated. So again, click on the dashboard button or hit enter on the IP address in the menu bar, in the address bar. Let that reload. And once we kick back to the actual web UI, then we should be good to go. Now, we can refresh this. There's no NDI being generated, and so it's not going to show up inside Studio Mod. But when we get back to the actual web UI screen, which would be in a moment, then we should see it being generated here again. Oh, wrong camera. Then we should see it being generated again. So there we go. Log into the web UI. Make sure that the NDI info is generating an actual, 1080p by 2997 or whatever it's set at. Make sure that that connection info is reading back something, and then we can go into here, select the camera, and it should show up here on the actual thing. Now we can hold the camera chassis and just turn it so it is responding. The baseboard commands and the NDI chip are all responding correctly. And then we can even do this number where we say AV menu. Look, color matrix is now all in here. We can turn on and off the IR so we know that's all working. Let's go full auto on this. Let's say full auto on this. It doesn't look particularly great, but just because of the studio settings, we can adjust the sharpness. Let's take a look at the video settings. So it's actually set to low bandwidth here. So yeah, there's all the detail and everything in that photo. And just jump around, make sure these things are kind of lined up. So by default, these go down the middle. And so we'll just change those. If we turn one up to the extreme, yep, you can see that the coloration changes. The red hue is now being manipulated by the color matrix. So that's great. That's all working. Video enhancement, high resolution mode. These are all here. Rain wiper. Yep, that works now. Auxiliary out and 12 volt out. You can test all those if you're actually using those. And yeah, I think we're in good shape. So good to go there. And now that update is absolutely complete. So that's it. The grand total was 10 minutes. And I even monkeyed around with the settings and made sure that they were operating correctly. But it took me about 10 minutes and we're up to date. So hopefully this is helpful. If you have any issues, please feel free to reach out to help@bird-dog.tv, and our support group can give you a hand with any questions that you might have. But in the meantime, enjoy the Generation 2 firmware, the LTS firmware for the A200, And we'll see you in the next tutorial. Take care, guys. Bye.